Yeah.
So, Ekaterina, what would be most helpful today?
Yeah. Um, Lots.
Okay.
So I guess just a little bit about my background. So I did my master's in Hawaii. I got licensed there, and then I decided to come back home to Ontario, Canada,
Mhm.
and start my own private practice. And I've been having a lot more issues than I thought I would.
Okay.
So I thought that maybe we could just chat about niche, price. I don't know. I feel like I know that you made a post recently about like how it's just more difficult nowadays to also just
Mhm.
start a private practice. And I've kind of also been hearing the same thing from other therapists that I've been talking to. So in a
Mhm.
way that's kind of validating knowing that like it just might take a little bit longer than it used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to get some of your feedback on maybe things that I can do to improve or things that I'm already like doing well. And yeah, sound good?
Yeah. Well, let's start with niche first.
Sure. So I work exclusively with couples. And so
Mhm.
when I was trying to narrow it down, I really wanted it to be um, kind of high achieving couples that are kind of struggling to navigate kind of work and home.
Mhm.
And so when I thought about like narrowing it down even more, one of the pieces that I wanted to maybe narrow it down to, but I think this is kind of where the imposter syndrome might come in, is kind of couples also experiencing non-monogamy.
Mhm.
Um, and so I worry that maybe making that my specific niche might be um I don't know, I guess, like, I have some training, but I don't feel like I have enough in that area, so I kind of wanted it to be a part of my practice, but maybe not, like, my whole practice.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm kind of stuck, like, is
Yeah.
that too broad of a niche or too, like I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think like couples is too broad of a niche,
Mhm,
but like, um, you know, both the niches within the niche, right? The
mhm,
couples struggling with like high demand careers and busy home lives, like
mhm.
trying to find that balance, that's a clear niche. And consensual non-monogamy. I'm assuming when you say
Yeah,
non-monogamy,
yes.
consensual. Okay,
Mhm,
so consensual non-monogamy, definitely one. And I'm not surprised your practice is feeling stalled if you're kind of at the crux of which of these do I want. Like that makes sense.
mhm. Yeah.
You haven't gone all in on one, and so
Mhm,
thus like your marketing is not going to go all in.
mhm.
So what is it that would make you feel more competent working with the consensual non-monogamy folks?
Um I don't know, because I do feel like I could, and because having to have come back, I'm getting relicensed in Ontario, and so part of that is I need to still do my a few more supervision hours, so I thought that
Mhm.
would also be, like, a great time, right, to,
Yeah.
like, expand this part of my practice while also getting supervision. But I think
Hmm.
it's just that piece that, like, I've always worked more with, like, college students, and so, like, it hasn't necessarily been an area that I have a lot of experience. And so also like when I'm thinking about charging what I charge, I'm like, well, who am I to charge that? Because I don't feel like I have enough experience, but I know that I've had at least 5 years of clinical work,
Got it.
even if not in that department, right?
Right. And so what informs your current understanding? Have you done CEs?
Hmm.
Have you talked? So like your current
Yeah.
understanding of consensual non-monogamy is like it has legs, it sounds like. It's
Right.
from actual training.
Yes.
It's not like you have a friend who's
Hmm.
ethically non-monogamous or your own personal
No.
experience. Like it's
Hmm.
based on training.
Yeah. I've taken
Um,
trainings, I've done readings, I'm still kind of learning, and kind of the supervisors that I do have in mind that when I do start seeing those couples, they do have experience in that area as well.
mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. So in my mind, like, and this is easier for me to say, but just like in my mind, it's go for it. You've got the proper
Mhm.
supports, you have the training. It's imposter
Right.
syndrome holding you back. Is there more to learn? 100% for all of us about everything.
Right.
And it sounds like you have a genuine interest to be able to continue to learn and
Mhm.
like refine any and all skills for this population.
Okay.
So I would say go for it because you have the supervisors lined up,
Mhm.
because you care about doing
Yeah.
a good job.
Mhm.
Typically the people I'm most worried about are the ones who were like, yeah, I saw a client once, it's fine. Or I lived through this when I was 20, so I can do it.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
so I would go ahead and like maybe get on the books with some like a supervisor just so
Mhm.
you can be like to yourself, like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm getting the support I want, even if
Mhm.
you're talking in hypotheticals with this
Right.
supervisor initially.
Mhm. That's true.
Um, so if that's the population versus the other one,
Mhm.
that you're most on fire about, then I mean, it's also a very underserved population.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's a population that might go to like a regular couples counselor because that's what's available. And the couples
Right.
counselor has never taken a single training on non-monogamy and is doing harm accidentally.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely
If
think it's more of the imposter syndrome. Like, I know
yeah.
that even if I was working with couples that I've had experience with, right, like, I would still be continuing, to
Mhm.
learn and to grow, and so I think you make a really good point that, like, it's, you know, couples may be going to people who may not be experienced, right? And so
Yeah.
there is value, even though I might not feel like I have all the experience and I know everything, or kind of I feel like I know enough to be able to hold space and to, kind of just guide them based on kind of scientific research.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
because it's not even just people like a therapist being like, I don't really know what to do here. It's also that so many therapists don't refer out. They take
Mhm.
everybody that calls.
Yeah.
And so they're potentially doing some harm, not on purpose, of course.
Mhm.
They also might not like it. They might be like,
Yeah.
I think that this is not a legitimate way for people to be in
Mhm.
relationship. And they might be dreading every single time that couple shows up in their office,
Right.
which is not the way any of us want to feel as clients.
Mhm.
So I would, if you need a little like kick in the butt to just go for it, it's like you owe it to your future clients to get out there,
Mhm.
to have to be like the caring, understanding person who can help guide them so
Mhm.
that they don't end up with somebody who doesn't refer out and doesn't like them.
Mhm. Okay. So, kind of, I guess what you're saying is just market completely to that population, right? Because
Absolutely.
I was just thinking if I target to the high achieving, right, and then I could have like a specialty page on consensual non-monogamy,
Mhm.
and like another specialty. I thought that could also be like a way that I'm not necessarily like filling maybe like my whole caseload with it, and it's kind of
Mhm.
like a small step. I don't
Yeah,
know, like, do you think like
absolutely.
one is better than the other, or?
It's about what's gonna be most fulfilling for you. Like, which one are you gonna enjoy?
Mhm.
And also, like, if titrating makes it feel safer for you in a way that you will get out there and you will market, then
Mhm.
titrate away. Like have it just as a specialty page,
Yeah.
but your primary website be about this couple.
Okay.
That is the work-life balance situation,
Mhm.
which we need to get then pretty in depth with so that people
Mhm.
really see themselves in that copy and to help you
Mhm.
market better. So tell me some of like that daily lived experience that you're currently talking about on your homepage.
Yeah. So I feel like I've changed my copy several times because I just wasn't happy. Sometimes I
Mhm.
felt like, I was kind of describing them like you're coming home, you're kind of with your partner, but you're sitting on your phone and you're still kind of doing work stuff. You're avoiding a lot of the major conversations in your relationship
Mhm.
because you're scared about what that might bring up because you're feeling that, maybe you're not being kind of the best partner you can be.
Mhm.
Um, just kind of a lot of maybe even just staying at work late, kind of a lot of fighting or arguments, or kind of the opposite, right? Kind of fighting so much that you've gotten to the point where you're um, detracting from your partner and kind of just avoiding them.
Mhm.
Um, And then I guess I kind of also thought in regards to other issues that might also bring in, like potentially infidelity, potentially, kind of mental health concerns.
Mhm.
So kind of maybe one partner is struggling with depression, anxiety, not just from their work, right, but kind of what brings up in the relationship.
Do your clients know before they come to see you that they are staying at work to avoid being at home? Or are they still telling themselves they just have so much work to do?
Mm, probably that one. Hmm.
Like they don't realize or they do?
They probably don't realize.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is going to be the lever
Hmm.
to pull then.
Hmm.
Um, you instead speak to their busyness.
Hmm.
Like and the pressure. They have so much on them and
Right.
their partner is never satisfied.
Hmm.
And like you really speak and like you speak to both partners, right? Like
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
both people are working and like both people have the same dynamic, then you talk about that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So this lever allows them to really see themselves. Um, they're people who probably really value productivity.
Hmm.
Because they're sure trying to do a lot of it, maybe not effectively do a lot of
Right.
it, but so I would come from this perspective of how like you don't waste time as a therapist, basically. Like these are people who value efficiency probably
Hmm.
because they just have so little free time because they don't realize they're using it for avoidance.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
I mean, you can definitely bring up the like there are conversations you're not having, but they probably don't have a lot of clarity on what those
Hmm.
conversations are. Like you can tell that things aren't okay, but you
Hmm.
like don't have the time or the energy to
Right.
like delve into figuring out what that is right now.
Hmm.
And that's why you need help.
Yeah.
Because you keep not doing that.
Hmm.
Uh, in your ideal couple for this, are they both working these kinds of jobs that are like will take everything you can give them, like super demanding?
Yeah, like I was thinking, somebody who is kind of like in charge of a lot of people, right? So either like in a helping profession or someone who like is kind of higher up in the company where like a lot of the work and kind of supervision of others falls onto them, right? So they
Mhm.
always feel like they have to be the one to be
Right.
in kind of control of the situation. So kind of it might be harder for them to relinquish that sense of control when they're
Yeah,
in their relationship.
absolutely. And when you've got two people like that,
Mhm.
it can get really messy really
Yeah.
easily. And so I would
Mhm.
speak to that like at work, like I find for these couples, and bet if this is true for your ideal person, but for these folks, they feel good at work. They do a good
Mm.
job. It's where they get a
Right.
lot of their self-esteem. And when they come home and their relationship is just very meh at
Mhm.
best,
Yeah.
it's easy to put more stock into work and more time into work because it's the place that they feel competent.
Mhm.
And so you can
And
talk
safe.
about and safe, yeah, like
Mhm.
feeling really competent at work and
Mhm.
like you like that you know what you're doing
Right.
and that when problems arise, you know how to solve them. But
Mhm.
that's not translating to home.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would talk about that.
Okay. I did have kind of part of that in my copy before, and then I got some feedback, and then I was like, let me revise it. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, just
I
keep
think.
thinking about like their experience right
Mhm.
now. Like they come home, imagine them like coming home from work. She's kicking off her shoes. She sees him on his laptop at the dining room table.
Mhm.
They might say a quick hey, they might not.
Right.
But it's just there's not connection.
Mhm.
And there's not maybe even a lot of sadness about the fact that there's not
Mhm.
connection.
Yeah.
So you can talk about that. Like you
Mhm.
feel like you should feel more sad about the fact that you're not connected.
Mhm.
But when really you feel irritated more than anything.
Mhm.
Um, do they have kids, your ideal couple?
No.
Okay, good. Because I was like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
lot to fit in.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, something's gonna blow. Um, yeah. And so that's another thing. Like you can talk about like dual income, no kids.
Mhm,
Or like really both wanting to move up the corporate ladder.
mhm,
And that like you've made choices consistent with that so far, but like as a
mhm,
couple, it feels like while you're both reaching for your goals, your relationship is just bland at best.
mhm. Yeah. I kind of right now I describe it as like they're moving at like parallel train tracks to each other.
Yeah, yeah, they're like roommates.
Mhm.
Um, and like you can say like your sex life may be dead in the water and you may
Right.
not even really care.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Or nor do you have the energy to change it.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Okay. That's
yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
But we also need to find the motivation for them. Like for them, like we're describing a very common situation in
Mhm.
America, right?
Right.
And like, why are they wanting to invest some time and money and energy into changing
Mhm.
it? Like, what is it that is happening for your ideal clients that make them ready to take action now?
Mhm. I guess if I was thinking about my ideal client, it would be um, that they just kind of reflect upon how much time has passed in the relationship and
Mhm.
they think about the future and how that's not something that they want to be
Mhm.
spending for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they know that, like, avoiding these conversations isn't helping, but yet they still can't muster up the courage to share with their partner what's kind of coming up for them.
Hmm. And is that because it's just hard for them to share in general, or is it because they're pretty sure they're going to be faced with rejection?
More so faced with rejection.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And I
And
think
so,
maybe sorry, I was gonna say maybe another part is also just, uh, thinking about, like, specific, uh, goals, right, that couples kind of go through and, like, maybe they're thinking, we've kind of gone through some of these steps, right? We've dated, we're living together, we're, like, thinking about getting married, but, like, something feels really off or, like, not how I thought that a relationship would feel like.
mhm, yeah. And I think you could do something to speak to their reticence to talk to their partner about even coming in. Like
Mhm,
on your homepage, you could mention it and then link to it like a blog post essentially is all it would need to be, of like how to talk to your partner about coming in for
mhm,
therapy. And you
mhm.
could just give them a script. You could
Okay.
say like,
Mm,
you know, some of my clients feel like they're not going to be rejected, but that it's just really hard to get the words out of their mouth. Here's the script for you. Some
mhm,
of my clients feel like their partner's going to think it's stupid,
mhm,
or that it's like not that bad,
mhm.
that it needs that couples therapy is needed. Here's a script
Right.
for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's
And
also
that would
gonna
be yeah, I was gonna say that'd be, like, a great idea to also, like, dispel some of the myths, right, why couples may or may
right.
not come to therapy. Mhm.
Yeah. But if you just have that like quick and easy for them
Mhm.
and it's in language that they're like, yes, that's exactly what I need to say. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I'm afraid he's gonna reply with or whatever.
Mhm. Right.
Then it helps them see that you really do know what you're doing.
Mhm. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess that that kind of, brings me to the marketing, piece of everything. So, I've done a lot of networking so far.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's been kind of discouraging because I'm fully online. I've emailed probably around 100 different therapists,
Hmm.
and probably half of those people just did not reply. And
Hmm.
so it gets kind of exhausting having to try to reach out to people and then be like, are they going to reach out or not? So I'm also kind of trying to balance myself with the different types or like how I market myself.
Hmm.
So I kind of recently thought of maybe like couples massage therapists would be a great one.
Hmm.
Um, but I was just kind of curious, like, can you think of like places where couples would want to like visit that I could like maybe physically post something up that way? Um, I don't know, just even like, in my own neighborhood that kind of work gets out.
I feel like if I'm struggling in my marriage and I am at like the yoga studio that I go to
Mhm.
maybe to help manage my stress,
Yeah.
um, and there's a poster there, a flyer there, I don't want to be seen looking at it.
Mm.
I feel like there's shame that's involved with these folks who really look like
Mhm.
they have it all together with this very
Yeah.
successful career and their power coupleness and all that.
Mhm.
Um, I might talk to yeah, I might talk to divorce attorneys because
Mhm.
these people might be kind of exploring it, but not really
Mhm.
like it's not contentious. They're just like, this
Yeah.
is just not what I thought it was going to be. So
Mhm.
you could talk to divorce attorneys, be very clear with them about who you work with and who you don't, so that they're not
Right.
like, oh, here's this very volatile couple that you're going to
Yes.
hate working with.
Mhm.
Um, I think that SEO could probably be really helpful for you
Mhm. Okay.
because of the shame involved.
Mhm.
And I might write blog posts because that's what you're going to need to do if you do
Yeah.
SEO
Mhm.
on like things like I don't really even care about my partner anymore. Like the very meh, because it's
Mhm.
not a crisis.
Right.
Um, but it is like a slow erosion,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I would speak to those erosion points
Mhm.
that
Okay.
really like that your people might Google.
Mhm.
Um, I was talking to a child therapist who their most popular blog post that was viewed as like, what if I don't like my child? Like one of those things people don't say,
Right, but
you know,
they're
you don't
thinking it.
say
Mhm.
to your friends, like, I don't think I even really like her. I love her, but I don't like her.
Yeah.
But you'll Google it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
So some of those things that your people aren't going to say aloud. Um, yeah. And I would create content around just like, I would call it like a tepid relationship, you know, like
Mhm.
nothing bad is happening. Nobody's a bad person.
Right.
It's just real boring.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and I would think about like, what do your ideal clients actually want out of therapy?
Mhm.
What's the outcome? Like, do they want to feel like they're dating again? You know, do they want
Mhm.
like the love and the excitement and the vibrancy and all that? Maybe not. They might not have the energy for
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So, like, talking about what their goals are together in your copy, like the kind of
Mhm.
relationship that they're working towards, like a mature, true partnership where
Mhm.
they make each other laugh. You know,
Right.
you're not saying like, I'm gonna make it where you can't keep your hands off each other, but like you make each other laugh every day.
Mhm. Right.
Um, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's definitely helpful. I feel like because I think I've been trying to kind of maybe figure out like which niche I want to go with and kind of going back and forth. I think it's been kind of challenging, but I think this really helps to kind of go a little bit deeper. And I feel like I have a pretty good idea, but I feel like you said, right, like maybe even just writing blog posts can help with the SEO piece because I feel like um I don't know, it's just I think being fully online is also more challenging and kind of
Hmm.
going from a place where I felt like I was an easy pick for a lot of people just because there wasn't a lot of therapists to begin with
Yeah.
to, coming back to a place that has over 40,000 therapists.
Hmm.
That in itself is just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And with a niche, you can stand out, you
Mhm,
know, and I would reach out to other people who do couples counseling.
mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if 50% are ghosting you, that's totally like I'd say that's pretty normal.
Okay.
So instead of being like, I really hope all these people write back, to just be like, whoever writes back is awesome. You know, like
Mhm.
other people are
Yeah.
busy, I get it.
Mhm.
If there's a really specific reason you want to get in touch with a particular person, then that might make sense to like kind of go hard on it. But otherwise, like if somebody doesn't reply, you don't
Yeah.
need to follow up.
Mhm. Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
what I just been doing. I'm like,
yeah.
well, the people that do reply, I feel like they're kind of, great connections and they're actually
Hmm.
people that I like. So I
Yeah.
think, the world will kind of help bring in the people that I need. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And thinking about like, yeah, other places where your ideal clients go, like from a networking perspective, getting in touch with like if they're more likely to go naturopathic medicine, for instance,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
just the kind of niche places and
Mhm.
networking with those folks, the acupuncturists, if that's their
Right.
vibe, or if it's not, if it's like a sports league or something like that,
Mhm.
then I wouldn't leave a flyer, but I might consider like doing a talk or something like that
Mm,
for
mhm.
different groups.
Okay.
Like I don't know if you have the junior league in Canada, but we have the junior league here, which is kind of like women, it's like a women's organization, a lot of like attorneys and doctors
Okay.
and like stay-at-home moms, like a lot of community members. And they raise funds for
Mm.
whatever projects they decide they want to
Okay.
raise funds for.
Mhm.
But it's often a lot of like high performing women in there.
Mhm.
And so you
Okay.
could give a talk about like um how to enjoy your partner or something like that,
Mhm.
like you'd want to phrase it in a way that is catchy and clear at the same time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
amazing. Sure. Yeah,
That's
let
really
us know how
helpful.
it's going in the Facebook
Mhm.
group. I want to
For sure.
love a catch up.
Yeah, and I hope you're doing well with everything that you're kind of going through and the state of
Yeah,
the world.
hanging in. We're hoping to have clean water by Christmas.
Mm.
So that'll be a big benchmark.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah,
being able
kind
to
of a
drink.
little bit over a month out.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're at 6 weeks now, I think. So it'd
Mhm.
be
Mhm.
another month and 6 weeks, another 6 weeks, I guess. So
Mhm.
3 months out, I don't know, is that right? Six plus six is 12. Yeah, 3 months out to have clean
Mhm.
water would
Yeah,
mean a lot to us. So
that'll be
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
Well, hang in there.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.